people? Morning cup of Joe. My name is Jose Trujillo. I'm an artist. I'm a painter. And I'm coming to you from my art studio to talk about awesome stuff. I talk about art here. There's a bunch of art talk going on around here. So today's little talk here is about, let me tell you just right off the bat. You've been brainwashed. Brainwashed as to what it is to be an artist. Bam. There it is. You see, when we are starting to paint or starting to do any artwork, whatever it is that you do, we tend to think to other artists who are at our same level for the most part. And when we talk to galleries, we tend to talk to galleries who are, this has been my experience, definitely, and I'm sure that many people have had the same experience. We tend to talk to people who are at the same level, or galleries that are not booming and going. If galleries would be booming and going, they wouldn't be having that much time to talk to you, because they're interested in talking to people who are booming and going as well. So, booming and going, what the heck? I don't know, I think I just made that term up. So let me get back to my... So you've been brainwashed, Mr. Brainwashed. You've been brainwashed to what an artist is or should be. We, for a long time, have bit the hook of thinking that an artist is this. I think it comes from this bullshit book or novel about the bohemian, right? The bohemian life. The Parisian bohemian life. And I think everybody just adapted that somehow. You know, you're talking about people who could afford, you know, it's like saying, I want to be bohemian like Johnny Depp. No, you can't. Like, you can, cool. But Johnny Depp, you know, can afford to act like that, you know. Most of us have to go to work and we have to hustle and we have to do this and we have to do that. You can do that, but you know, you're going to be broke. So it's cool. But that's the thing, that we've been told all these things. I know, because I had my studio downtown. I had my long hair. You know, I was much prettier. Prettier. I was handsome and stuff. And I was sipping wine. You know, smoking awesome cigarettes. I was like, hey, welcome to my studio. Blah blah blah. And it was cool, right? But no sales. So not that cool. So I guess when you're younger, you think that is, you know, that's where it's at, right? You're gonna be this bohemian artist, but it doesn't go away. I noticed that it doesn't go away easily. I grew up with, you know, talking to different artists and you know, just different people in the circles, and it seems that a lot of people got stuck there. And I don't necessarily blame them. It's just comfortable, you know. Lately, I've been experimenting with not being comfortable with, you know, doing things that make me uncomfortable. So it's very comfortable to I don't know, put up a show that requires minimal confrontation, meaning going and talking to people and saying, by the way, come to my show. Or, you know, it requires very minimal stuff, because we like to say, well, if I make this awesome artwork, you know, this huge art pieces that look like they belong in a museum, but they're in my little gallery, ha 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 ha, you know, I'm going to outsmart everyone and it's going to be so awesome and people are going to come and no one comes, and you're like, well, at least I keep my integrity. But like Dave Chappelle says, you can't make sandwiches out of those, right? Out of that. You can't make integrity sandwiches. So, what I'm trying to say is that, whoa, fell from the chair. What I'm trying to say is that we don't really talk real as artists. I go to art supply stores and I talk to artists. I'm always talking to artists. I'm always like looking for feedback and trying to see feedback as to how they think, how what is the process, where do we get stuck? I know where I got stuck. I know, but I can't generalize. Everybody's different, right? So I'm always talking to artists and art collectors and curators, and you know, I'm trying to get feedback all the time. And when I talk to artists, 9 out of 10, when they're starting out, right? And what I mean starting out is that they've been painting for 10 years, but never really gotten to create a show or something, and they just kind of not consistently, right? I usually get the same thing. I usually get the whole, I'm working on a project. I'm sorry if I offend more than two, but I'm not trying to do this. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just trying to shine light to something. If you really want something, you're gonna have to get uncomfortable. And we've been sold the idea that being an artist is the life. You're living the life. You're splattering paint in your studio. No, it's not true, friends. An artist that is a working artist, that is a professional artist, right? They make a living or a fine living or whatever out of that. They are working their asses off. They're small business owners. The whole idea of splattering paint and all that's just PR. That's not true. Certainly there's days that I feel like I want, I'm like, man, I won the lottery. When I take a step back, from all the work, then, I have to remind myself that, oh man, I paint for a living. That's what I wanted, right? But it's not this, ephemeral thing. It's not, I mean, it is ephemeral. It's not this whimsical thing, that I'm like, I'm an artist, yes, all day, wow. No, it's work. It's this, it's that, it's putting together shows, it's, framing, it's all of this stuff. And it's not what I was sold when I was starting to work, when I started to paint. And of course it's not, because I was asking people and I was talking to people who weren't making a full-time living or a healthy income, healthy that they can go above water, not just pay their bills, but go above water. And I know this is touchy subjects for a lot, but I feel like it's got to be said. Someone's got to talk real about this. Come on. So I was talking to a bunch of people who were not doing anything. They were not doing shit. And I was one of them, and I was getting advice from them, and I was, we were interchanging ideas and whatnot, but none of it really meant anything other than, yes, it's good for the artistic process. Maybe you want to keep those friends that inspire you, but you also want to have the other friends or the other, people you participate with. Those people that are like, come on, get it done, put it together. We need to put the show up now. Let's do this, the next thing, and blah, blah, because you need the other practical aspect. And when I say you've been brainwashed as to what it is to be an artist, it's because we think about this fashion idea. It always is so glamorous. It's like being a rapper or something, a musician, a rock star. People are like, oh, I want to be a musician. And they start thinking about, how would Jay-Z act? I don't know that cat. I think a cat Sazam. He's like super cool. Everybody knows that. I'm not the only one who thinks that. I don't know him, but I would be willing to bet that guy worked his ass off, and he wasn't that glamorous. You perceive him as glamorous when but it's like when I was watching this. My wife was Jay-Z and Beyonce, and I was watching this little clip of Beyonce's what is it called? I think it's called Echo Park or something, some park. And all I kept thinking about was this woman just was working so hard every day, and she only gets to mention that because she needs to, right? She needs to mention it. But only very few people are going to understand that 99% of what she's made of is because of something like the park. It's because of something like the boys' rehearsals, like the dance rehearsals, like the constant practicing. When people see LeBron James, I'm sorry, because I keep thinking Michael Jordan, right? I'm from the 90s. People see Michael Jordan flying through the, when we used to see him, none of us thought of the 10 hours before that of pure practice. Practice. We all thought like, oh yeah, like Michael Jordan, yeah, awesome. But nobody took a step back, right? Because it's not romantic. So we've been brainwashed, conditioned to think that this whole thing is romantic. It's just romantic. And of course it's got its romantic moments. It's like marriage. Yes, it's not all romantic. It's growth. It's this. It's expansion. It's contraction. It's learning. It's figuring it out. It's all this dynamic, right? But it's all effort. It goes around effort. It's like anything, right? I always seem to think of life when I'm going awry and not doing the things I'm supposed to do. I remind myself, life is like a garden. You have to constantly keep your attention on it, or else it's going to dry and die. Life is like a garden. You have to constantly, right? You water it, you put soil, you seeds and this and that, and you're trimming, and it has to have a constant observation on it, right? So we've been sold this idea because other artists tend to think it's funny, right? Or other artists tend to think for me, the way I see it, it's a way to make sense of why things are not happening. So it can't be that I'm lazy. It can't be that I am I'm not willing to be uncomfortable. It can't be that this, that. And I know it's a touchy subject, but bear with me. This might help some of you. It can't be all these things. It can't be I can't sell artwork online. Or, I can't paint right now because I don't have enough money to buy art supplies. It can't be all of that. It can't be you. So it has to be something else. It can't be you. So it has to be everything else. It has to be the gallery didn't want to talk to me. The art is so expensive. The eBay fees are so high. Nobody really cares about high price points online or Etsy or this. And we tend to make all of these things so that we don't move forward. There is no one way of approaching this. It's not just online. It's not just galleries. It's not just Facebook. It's not just this. It's also brick and mortar. It's not one thing. And we've been sold the idea that if, I saw that artist, he's killing it on Etsy. Yeah, well, look behind. If they're really killing it, take a look behind the scenes and see how hard they're working. I've never met anyone or ever even heard of anyone. I've heard of a lot of people that make no sense, but I've never heard of anyone who's creating any sort of success, whatever that is, whether they're playing chess or making a painting. I've never heard of anyone who didn't go through heavy periods, right, of effort, of just hard work, very hard, raw work. I've never heard of anybody. I've never met anybody. I've met a couple of successful artists, and what I mean successful is both they have the peace in their heart and they are they're killing it in the market. I've never seen them just kind of lay back and lounge. They have those moments. They have their vacation time. They have this, but I've never seen them. If you go to their studio, they're always working. So what I'm trying to say here is snap out of it. It's not what we've been sold. It's not this idea, this romantic. Of course, it's got its perks, right? Of course, you get to sip on that wine and talk about your artwork in an exhibit or when someone comes to your studio and blah blah. Of course, it's got those moments, but it's not that. What makes the artist, what makes the whole thing awesome, it's the work itself. If you don't enjoy being uncomfortable, it's probably not for you. Or if you don't pursue that, nobody enjoys being uncomfortable, but if you don't pursue that, if you don't constantly put yourself in uncomfortable situations, if you don't constantly walk to the edge or where the water is deeper, it might not be for you. This whole thing might not be for you. You may enjoy creating artwork for as a side thing, as a hobby or whatever. But I'm trying to tell you here, if you're taking this as a serious step, as I am, I'm working towards becoming the best artist I can possibly become, the greatest artist in the world. If this is not for you, if you're not going to become uncomfortable, if you're not going to put yourself there, it might not be for you. And it's okay to realize that. I've often asked myself that, and then I go back to, no, I'd rather be uncomfortable. No, I'd rather go and take the punch, right? But you do fall. You fall often. If you're not falling, you're not riding, right? It's like my old man says, if you're not falling off a horse, it's because you're not a rider. You have to fall. It's part of the process. It's part of learning. It's part of going. So I'll leave you with that. Do not believe people when they tell you or when they make it assumptions or they'll be like, oh yeah, it's the life. I've seen so many artists on Instagram and on Facebook or whatever, and they're like, oh, I'm an artist. No, you're not. You like to paint. And yes, in your heart, you're an artist. But it's like me, I don't know, holding a basketball and saying, see, with artists, you don't have that, right? So that's why many people claim this. But it's like holding, I don't know, some surgery scissors and saying I'm a doctor. No, no, you're not, right? Or because you're playing doctor. No, you're not, right? So I'm not trying to burst anyone's bubble. I'm just trying to say, look, if you want it, it's there, but it's going to take work. And if you're not willing to put the work in, it's okay. It's okay to understand that it might not be for you. It's okay to say, you know what, that may not be for me, but I still enjoy painting. I love painting. I like creating artwork. I like, I'm still an artist, right? You're still an artist because you're creating artwork. Doesn't mean that that's all you do. But I'm talking about taking it as a career, right? It's okay that it might not be your only career. I know plenty of artists who are they have their careers, they're lawyers or this or that, and they paint on the side, or they paint on the weekends, or there is no problem. Of course there is, and it's the whole point, right? That's why we do it, because we love it. But when you want to take it from just loving it and saying this is what I'm going to do full time, it's not what we've been sold. That's what I'm trying to say. It is not what we've been sold. We've been sold a lie. That it's just, cruising by and it's awesome. It might even be like that for a couple of years until you realize, oh, crap. I need to put my stuff together because I need to sell more, or I expanded, or I got myself a bigger studio that I needed more people, or I needed this, or I needed that, or whatever it is. Or that platform doesn't work anymore. Now I have to move to this other platform of, for selling, or that gallery kicked me out. Now I have to go to this other gallery, or whatever the case is. So I'll leave you with that. My name is Jose Trujillo. I'm an artist. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I brought some content, some valuable content to you. And stay cool.